Coach of the Year. Who you got winning that award? I mean, that could be a tricky one for this season.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring up a gentleman that I feel like has really showed us the last couple of years that he is able to seriously bring his team together when your main leader goes down and you have to bring someone into their position to carry this team on. Yeah, I am talking about Sean Payton for the New Orleans Saints, bringing in Jameis Winston, having to really restructure this entire roster. And a part of me thinks that this Saints team, when you look at the coaching that's going to be with them, the weakness of the division outside of Tampa, Sean Payton the last 2 years has lost one game without Drew Brees as his quarterback. If he goes to win 8 to 10 games this year, potentially sneaks in as a wild card in the NFC, I don't know how you can't look at him. He was about to be on my coaching hot seat had we not had to completely redo the roster, come $100 million out of debt. I mean, it felt like it was the rinse and repeat with Sean Payton, but he was still being a great coach. But I think this year, because everyone said, oh, and I know as a fan, before Brees and Payton, the Saints were nothing. Brees is gone now. Peyton is still there. Let's see if he can massage some of this pain for the Saints and potentially put them in the wild card. So I'm taking Sean Payton with Coach of the Year.
It sounds like a Hurricane Ida pick.
Hey, it could be. It could be. You never know. Yeah, but you know how the last time a hurricane came in.
The Homer goggles are strong with that one. If he wins 8 games, I mean, hell, Bill Belichick should have been considered last year.
He definitely could have. Bill would have won 10 games. He probably would have got Coach of the Year, honestly.
No, he wouldn't have. They didn't do anything. It's like it would be ludicrous to even think about Sean Payton for that award if they go about 500.
10-7.
No, not happening. Kyle Shanahan, absolutely. The team only won 4 games last year. He was without his quarterback. Granted, most of the roster was hurt.
Yep.
He has been like widely renowned as one of the best coaches in the league. His teams have not been doing what they're supposed to do. He comes in now with a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's looking at flushing Jimmy out and putting Trey Lance in. If he takes this team to what I predicted them at a 14-3 record, coming off of 4-12, I don't think there's any way that Kyle Shanahan does not win Coach of the Year. I mean, you go from picking in the top 5 of the draft to now being potentially a 2 seed in the NFC and a contender for the Super Bowl. Like, that's a massive turnaround, and everything is going to be in his favor for him to get there. I mean, the other coaches that are going to have teams that are on that level were already that good, so they won't get as much credit for any type of turnarounds.
Exactly.
But to go from 4-12 to winning massive double digits, like they win 12, 13, 14 games coming off a 4-win season, he's got to be Coach of the Year.
That would be huge.
No question.
That would only be his 2nd winning season, right? As a head coach for San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yep, because the 1 year was with Jimmy, and that's when they went.
Yeah, Jimmy's only been healthy for 1 year. He's been the coach.
It's a bad look on Shanahan. It really is. Like if people said hot seat for him, I probably wouldn't argue. I mean, you look at the facts, and it's like, it's unfortunate, but hell, you're just pissing in the wind at that point. You're just wasting time. I mean, it's unfortunate, but they're going to have to get the job done. It's a business.
Oh, I mean, with all of his people back healthy, this could go easily from Coach of the Year to hot seat.
Right.
It's one side to the other.
Yep, it's a double-edged sword.
If they're bad again, he's going to be on his way out.
Yep.
If they do what they're supposed to do, they'll be like, I told you, he didn't have the personnel.
Right. He's like right on that perfect Mendoza line.
Yeah. But I think he's going to actually come over on the plus side.
Right.
And Jesus Christ, if Wesley Davis does not stop typing Derrick Henry's name into the chat, I'm going to just give you a side note before we move on to the next person. He said he was going to pick Christian McCaffrey with the first pick, and I told him at that moment, if you don't pick Derrick Henry first, I'm going to block you from Petty Sports. I will never acknowledge you saying anything about Derrick Henry ever again. You're always talking about, oh, nobody can stop him. He's going over 200 yards in every game, and you get the first pick in the fantasy draft, and you're like, oh, but give me Christian McCaffrey, though. Oh, seriously? Like, I guarantee you, I shamed you into picking Derrick Henry first. Whoever got Christian McCaffrey, you're welcome.
Cornered. You are taking him.
Now, back to the regularly scheduled program. Defensive Player of the Year, who you got?
Defensive Player of the Year. When I was starting to dig through this one, you look at some corners, you look at some pass rushers. I was even thinking potentially about picking a linebacker because this linebacking class has the core around the NFL has become pretty strong. These linebackers are getting really athletic, really big. But am going to take a little bit of a turn here. Give me Jalen Ramsey from the LA Rams. I think this man being potentially the best corner in the NFL. We've seen what he can do to a DeAndre Hopkins, to a Stephon Diggs, to a DK Metcalf. Like, Jalen Ramsey plays mind games with these people, and the way he can jump inside their head, completely throw an elite receiver off their game. I mean, it really reminds me of when you look at the coverages from 10, 15 years ago when these dudes were extremely physical, extremely aggressive, and he'll keep up with the speed, he'll push around a big receiver, or he'll even, bully up on a small guy. I think with Jalen Ramsey having all this awareness around the Rams, Stafford's already going to keep a huge eye on them. Aaron Donald's coming off of a major year. 3 out of the 4 years he's been defensive player. I think Jalen Ramsey can pick up on some of that wave there and take home this hardware this year.
But I think the only thing that he's got going against him is the fact that the best defensive player in the league is on his team.
Right.
So he's not the best defensive player on his own team.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to look past it. But
damn near impossible for you to win the award when there's a better guy on your roster.
It's like JJ and Aaron Donald with the same voter fatigue. Like, I understand why Aaron got it last year because of the double team, but I think Jalen is seriously deserving of this award if he comes out and performs again with this LA Rams team. Absolutely.
I think this award is going to go to Myles Garrett. The Cleveland Browns have emerged as a legit heavyweight contender, and it has a lot to do with the defense.
Yep.
I mean, as much as people scoff at Baker Mayfield, Baker is probably the last of any list that you would rattle off as to why you think Cleveland is as good as they are. It starts with that defense. I mean, Myles Garrett in 4 years only had one season where he's been under double-digit sacks. He had 12 sacks last year. Just 2 years ago, he had 13.5 sacks, and he's damn near averaging a sack a game. I mean, in 51 games, he's got 42.5 sacks. Now you add Jadeveon Clowney to the other side.
Yeah.
You've got a guy who can potentially take over a game or two. He's not consistent, but when he does show up, he completely changes games. So you've got to be concerned with him to make sure that you're not the team that he takes over.
He keeps you honest.
And when you're worried about him, you just gave Myles Garrett even more opportunities.
Right.
I mean, 12 sacks last year. We have an extra game this year. I think Myles Garrett, he clocks in 17 sacks this year, takes the Defensive Player of the Year award. With a sack number like that, won't matter what Jalen Ramsey does. I'm all in on Myles Garrett for this one.
I love it, man. And I mean, him, being a number 1 overall pick, and the Browns are going to have a lot of eyes on them this year. We got an award coming later on, and I got to go into a Browns player, so they're going to have a lot of eyes on them. And I think he's lined up very well for it. I agree with you. I almost went with him, but I wanted to change
I'm
up a
here
little
for
bit
that. You say you picked the Browns player for something. I was really
we'll
interested to see where you went with that.
We'll see.
Offensive Player of the Year. Who you got?
I'm going with the biggest home run hitter in the NFL right now. Give me Tyreek Hill. I think with Mahomes standing behind, a top 5 offensive line now in the NFL, they get embarrassed in the Super Bowl and go and just completely rebuild with veteran after solid guy after stud on this offensive line. Tyreek Hill had a huge season last year. Great guy in fantasy, and he is my number 1 overall fantasy receiver for this year as well. So if that could just go hand in hand with him, he's a walking touchdown. He'll easily turn a half of a misstep into a score. You have to keep your eyes on Tyreek Hill, whether it's on an end around, potentially a screen, a bubble. If he's on a streak, this guy is probably the most unguardable person in the league. So give me Tyreek Hill for Offensive Player of the Year. I'm really feeling like a 1,600 yard receiving season, maybe like 17 or 18 touchdowns for this guy. He's going off this year.
Okay, I mean, I can't be mad at that, man. I definitely like Tyreek at the pick. However, I think it'll be the MVP runner-up that's going to get Offensive Player of the Year, because Offensive Player of the Year is usually the consolation prize.
Yep.
If you didn't get MVP, then you get that award.
And you put up some numbers, yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be Josh Allen that gets Offensive Player of the Year. He's not going to win MVP because he's not going to have as many wins as Brady does.
Right, Brady's going to have like
but he's going to have the numbers. Wins. With 17 games, he's definitely going to throw over 5,000 yards. He'll have over 40-plus touchdowns. It's going to be a great year for him. But for all the reasons I previously gave you, he's not winning the MVP. So this is what they'll give you is like, hey, I mean, we recognize you, but you can't get the one that you want.
Right.
Like that's the award that they keep giving to Derrick Henry for running for 2,000 yards.
BS, bro. Should have been MVP. Adrian Peterson was MVP and comeback player of the year when he ran for over 2,000 in 2012. What's up with that voter fatigue?
Yeah, but I guess I don't know. I mean, I guess the quarterback play in 2012 had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, who was his quarterback?
Not even to say his quarterback. I think it was Sam Bradford at the time, or maybe Christian Ponder. One of the other.
It was Christian Ponder. 100% it was Christian Ponder.
But outside of that, I mean, I'm just talking about the rest of the league. Like, nobody put up historic numbers.
Right.
So then they left the door open for a running back to win it.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody throws over 5,000 yards and their team has a better record, I don't care what your running back does, he's not getting the award.
Right, yeah.
Just
Unless he runs for like 2,700 yards, when there would just be no way but to not give it to him.
Yeah, and we know that's not happening.
Right.
Comeback player of the year to round out our NFL awards. Who you got?
I feel like this is going to surprise a lot of people, but when you really start to think about it, it's kind of an obvious one. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey, some people still drafting him as the #1 pick in fantasy. Kind of crazy to me. I would have taken Dalvin Cook because you don't know if Christian's coming back completely healthy with the injury that he had. But if he does, I feel like, he's the type of guy where it's not going to be lingering with him. He's not going to be, out of the commitment. He's not going to be really knocked off his rocker because we're talking about a guy that had 1,000 in the yard, 1,000 in the air, and, 1,000 on the ground in one of his first few years in the NFL. Major presence. And I feel like with Sam Darnold being able to feed him, it's just really going to increase CMC's value. And this is a superstar we're talking about. This is the best running back in the NFL when he's healthy that we're talking about right now. So I got to go with Christian McCaffrey for comeback player of the year. I think he would absolutely steal this award.
I mean, I think Christian McCaffrey could be the true comeback player of the year. However,
but all the hype is going to
will not do it. It's going to go to Dak Prescott.
Yep.
If the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East, it's going to all be because of Dak, because of his $75 million contract.
Yep.
They're going to give that award to Dak because he came off injury and he plays the most important game in the most important position in the game. It's absolutely going to be Dak, even though Christian McCaffrey might be a better pick, it's still going to go to the quarterback. Yeah. Just like the MVP award, if there's a quarterback that does something, he's winning it.
Right. And here's the thing, like I thought last year was a lock for Cam Newton to win comeback player. Hell no. I would bet if I had $100,000 to bet that Dak Prescott would win the comeback player of the year award, I would. That's how confident I am. There's no way he doesn't win it. America's team, he's Dak. The contract extension, being a quarterback for the... I mean, it all adds up. If the dude wins 6 games, he's going to get it. I mean, there's no way he's not.
Well, I mean, 6 games might win that trash division.